About 6:30, we have low misty cloud, although there are some blue patches above me. And what appears to be, at least where we are, a light southerly. Well, the forecast and the view outside are both looking promising. Okay, the main's up and we'll haul the anchor. Now we'll just head off around the corner that way. So we were in there. You don't go through that gap, you go through this gap here. I was up on top of that knob yesterday. We're heading to pass between 9 Pin and Cape Wiwiki. I'm not sure this southerly will last that long, but we might as well make use of it. It's about 3/4 an hour to get to 9 Pin, or thereabouts. And we're going along quite happily at about 5 to 5.5 knots on a reach on port. The swell is reasonably low now, reasonably long period, and there's enough wind for it not to be a problem. Here we can make out Cape Brett and Piercy or Hole in the Rock Island, and the cliff closest to us is Red Head. There's Roberton Island, and I can see the masts of some boats in the lagoon anchorage, and Tarpecker Point's down there. There is 9 Pin, Cape Wiwiki. All the way up there is Kirikiri. We've got Black Rocks and Moturua Island on the left. Here's a close-up view of 9 Pin. It's also called Tiki Tiki Rock, but I'm afraid 9 Pin is what I've always called it, and it's easier to remember. Again, it's roost and breed on here. Now there's Cape Wiwiki. This is Rocky Point. If those are the needles, and this is Lion Rock. We'll be heading for a waypoint in here. There's the Cavalli Islands. Currently the plan is to pass inside this island in the middle, which is called Step Island. I even have 3 lines in the water, so that's a good minnow. looking a bit like a small kahawai. This rod's onto a kahawai lure. This one's got a tuna lure on it. Well, not a lot of yachts, and the ones I can see are motoring. There's a couple of others in the distance. Here's another one. We're actually doing a reach at the moment. We've got about 9 knots, and we're doing about 5 knots. So you'd think at least putting the jib out would be useful. Oh, the wind has currently dropped away, but it's been up and down a few times. So obviously it's looking back behind us. I believe one of those is a cat, the other probably a monohull, both motoring. We're out in the middle of Matauri Bay. There's the Cavalli Passage in front of us, passing inside the Cavalli Islands. Oh, the wind is now southeast, so it looks like we'll be probably running jibes now. Well, wind is moving even more to the east, so I think a jibe. Wind has continued to clock around. Now it's coming in from about the east, so we're almost heading for the Cavalli Passage again. We need to go a little bit more downwind. It's Matauri Bay in there, and we need to go on the downwind side of these islands. So this cat, which I think is a leopard, was behind us at Cape Wiwiki, having come down the north side of the Bay of Islands. They must be on idle, pretty much on one engine, so they've caught up a bit, but we're back to being the same speed as them. Here's looking back to the Bay of Islands, and still no sails in sight. This is Step Island, and from some angles it does look like a flight of stairs laid down on their side. As tempting as it may look to go through here to Cavalli Island, or Big Cavalli Island, which is in the distance, it's full of rocks, so we'll be putting another short jibe in. A bit lazy, so I think we'll just run downwind just past this island here. There's no useful passage through there. Can go between this island and Big Cavalli Island over there, and of course between Step Island and here is full of rocks. Breen and I spent a lovely afternoon on this beach when we were on Travelling Light many years ago. So this is looking into the Cavalli Passage, and way in the distance we can make out Flat Island, which we have to go around before heading to Whangaroa. The cat has finally made it past us. And over here's Matauri Bay, and there's a monohull motoring towards the Bay of Islands. pass between those islets and this island, and there's Big Cavalli appearing. We've got a good wind now coming through the gap between Step Island and Big Cavalli Island. Definitely set in as an easterly and is looking through to Matauri Bay. Next turning point is Flat Island, and it is fairly flat. We used to have some pine trees on it, but they went a couple of years ago. So Big Cavalli Island and Horseshoe Bay is in the centre of the picture. We've certainly anchored there quite a few times. There is Wiwiki Bay, another place that we've anchored. There's a reef that comes from the northern shore, which is on the left. Just got to be careful of. Our first trip to Whangaroa in travelling light, we trailed her up, launched at Whangaroa, and we had our Samoyed dog Rusky on board, and we did a day trip on the Saturday from Whangaroa to this bay and back again, and Rusky was busting by the time we got back because no animals allowed. But we did have a memorable sail back on a dying sea breeze which kept clocking to the north. And we've got this reef which is on our track, so I've just deviated to avoid it. I see two sails behind us, the cat, and then in the far distance it's probably a monohull. I think we're slowly passing this one again, and here are the islands off the northern end of Big Cavalli Island. We've certainly had some good time anchoring, snorkeling, spearfishing over there, but it would be best to wait until once again we have no swell. We have the swells back again, and here is Moturua and some other bays. They're all very exposed to this sort of swell. I spent New Year's Eve last year in Moturua. Now there's reefs that run out to Flat Island. There is actually a pass through that we've been a few times in very settled weather. We'll definitely be going around the outside today. This is Flat Island. We've well and truly overtaken the cat again, and there's looking back to the Cavalli Passage and the Cavalli Islands. Distance past Arrow Rocks is the entrance to Whangaroa. Oh, that's Stevenson's Island down there to leeward. We're doing a broad reach at the moment. Looking back at Big Cavalli Island, Flat Island and Step Island in the gap. This is Stevenson's Island. Entrance to Whangaroa Harbour's down there. Over this way I can make out Kari Peninsula. We've just jibed back onto port and still going on a broad reach. There's Tauranga Bay up ahead. Right, now we have Taupo Bay in view. It's north of Whangaroa Harbour. Perhaps not surprisingly, that is Cone Island. Now there's the Whangaroa entrance. Just past that white runabout. We're currently sailing a wind angle, and the big swells make it vary quite a bit. And once again a view of the Kari Peninsula, this time from the other side of Stevenson Island. Oh, here's Tauranga Bay. A mate of mine's family has a patch here. I furled the jib for the run into the harbour. We have an outgoing tide, swell coming in, could be a bit lumpy. I am running the engines, we need a bit of charging, and it'll make navigating the entrance a lot easier and quicker. We managed to keep in front of the other cat, which is motored all the way, fairly good for easterly now. Like we do have a thunderstorm, was forecast. That's Rere Bay ahead, that's where we'll be heading. That lump there is called Duke's Nose. Not many boats. People have had to go back to work, but I'm sure the weather's also played a role. The dock hut, and you can walk in from Totara North. Anchored in Rere Bay. Duke's Nose is there, just near the edge of the dock hut. Up here is the creek going to the freshwater swimming hole, and because we've had plenty of rain, the waterfall is functioning well. There are some private houses here. Most of the area from here further out is dock. So this is the one that followed us from the Bay of Islands. The holding in here is exceptionally good. I'm in 3 metres or 4 metres at low tide. I've been for a swim, a few laps around the boat, and then oxalic acid on a cloth and cleaned up the waterline. Didn't do before and after shots, but it certainly looks a bit less brown now and more sparkling white. It's turned into a beautiful evening. We have some mare's tails up in the sky. It usually doesn't mean good things.